John, how you doing today?
Hi, Mr. Rob. How you doing, Mr. Rob?
Okay, we're gonna start off today with a mental status exam, and let's see where we're at, and then we can move into a little bit of an intake interview. We'll get a couple things out together. Okay, John, you know what today's date is?
Yeah, it's March 18th,
Okay, good.
2021.
Day after St. Patty's.
Yes.
All right. And do you know what season it is outside?
It's winter going into spring.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you tell me about the weather?
It's raining and it's chilly.
Yes. Hey. What city are we in, John?
The city of Philadelphia, brotherly love, bro.
All right. And welcome to my home. What floor of the building we're on?
We're on the first floor.
Okay. And what state are we currently in?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, great. Five for five. All right, John, I want to say 3 words to you.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you in a few minutes to repeat them back to me. Rock.
Rock.
Sign.
Sign.
Flower.
Flower.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again to repeat them to me later. John, can you take the number 100 and subtract 9 from it, and continue to subtract 9 from it? Go ahead.
So it'd be 100, 93, 87. Wait, what am I subtracting from?
9.
9. All right, so it'd be 191, 82, 73, 64.
That's great, John.
Yes.
All right. John, you know how to spell the word world?
World. W-O-R-L-D.
Okay. Can you spell that word backwards for me?
D-L-R-O-W.
Great. And I already asked you about the weather. Those 3 words I asked you to remember and repeat. Can you do that for me?
Rock, sign, flower.
Great.
Like these beautiful flowers, yeah.
Yeah, they're my mom's. Okay. Hey, you did really well, John. Now, John, I want to kind of move into a portion of the intake interview.
Okay.
All right, and earlier you were answering questions of more of a demographic nature.
Okay.
Stuff that would be like on your driver's license or
Okay.
insurance cards, that kind of stuff. I want to kind of move into a little more specific questions about you personally, and maybe a little bit about why you came to see us.
Okay.
Now, please understand, did they explain those informed consent papers to you? Do you understand what you
I signed an informed consent
Okay,
document,
and
yes.
you do understand that if some things come up that I'm required to report, that I would.
Yeah, something about crime, or if you're hurting kids, or you're hurting yourself or someone else or
Okay.
something.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I get it.
Just about everything we talk about is going to be kept confidential, but there are some instances where I'm required to report. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Now, also, I'd like to point out to you that if there's anything that I ask you that you're not comfortable discussing, it's okay. There's no right or wrong here.
Okay.
It's not an interrogation,
Okay.
and I won't be using any bright lights today. But
Okay.
please, I want you to feel comfortable that we're talking. If you want to put something off to a later time, we can talk about when you're more comfortable. That's okay.
Okay.
So, John, what brought you in today? And first of all, I'd like to thank you for coming in. It takes a lot of courage to come in and
Thanks.
discuss some of these things.
Thanks.
But what is your major concern?
Well, I've got a lot of stuff on my shoulders. I've been involved with the recovery process for a couple of years now, and I feel like things are falling off track a little bit. I'm having some additional problems and all, but I basically came in for help.
Okay. Help. Can you maybe be a little more? What is really troubling you? What is your reason for seeking help?
Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose it all. You know what I mean? And I've been there before, and I don't want to be there again.
Mm. Is there any? Can you
If I don't nip it in the bud, kind of thing, you know.
Can you tell me about any feelings that you're having lately?
Fear. My anxieties come back a little bit. Just overwhelming sadness for the state of things in the world, and you know, I guess that's normal type stuff.
Okay. Have you had any of these conditions before?
Yes.
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 Right.
It always led to like me drinking or using drugs again, and I just don't want to go down.
Okay. Did you ever take any medication for any of these problems?
I did. I took. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I was taking Boost Par, and I was taking Prozac for almost like a year and a half.
All right. How did those medications work out for you?
Initially they were well, and I worked out a plan with my doctor to get off of them, you know, safely. But you know, initially they were treating like the symptoms of what was going on, but they started to lose their effectiveness because I guess I was in a healing process, you know. So
You mentioned treating symptoms, and you also mentioned underlying conditions. I want to congratulate you for recognizing that. Not everybody sees things in that light.
yeah, it's a lifelong process for me,
Right.
so I understand that too. So that's why I came in to ask for help.
All right. So the medications that you were taking, were you engaging in any kind of treatment at that time? Or?
I was seeing a therapist on a regular basis once a week. It was very rare that I had to schedule outside of the once a week, but I did once or twice throughout that process. But you know, I worked through some things. I was also involved with doing 12-step fellowship, which involves like a sponsor and you know, giving back and stuff like that. So then you go through like the step process and you heal. You do some healing. So I was doing, at the time I was healing with what was going on in my life and becoming more accepting of things, and of course, because I had stopped using and I wasn't in jail, you know, the quality of my life got better. So, you know.
Yeah, that 12-step and that whole sponsor thing, I've heard people say that's like free therapy.
Yeah,
well, you got to put $1 in a basket.
Absolutely. Well, no, I don't know. It's the best dollar I ever spent. So it's not a requirement to pay the $1.
Yeah, it feels good when we can do that when things are going well in our life. John, I saw in some of your intake paperwork, you had done some time incarcerated.
I did.
Want to talk about that?
My last trip was state prison. That ended in 2016. But altogether in my lifetime, I've been in and out of prisons and institutions. I probably spent almost 8 to 8.5 years of my life in jail.
All right. How do you feel about that? Are you angry about any of that? Or?
No, I've moved through a lot of that stuff. You know, I was able to do that with the therapist, and that was important. That's something that you know, the sponsor and the support groups that I had really weren't able to do. You know, as well as the therapist did. So.
Okay. Do you feel that time that you spent incarcerated was time well spent working on yourself?
Looking back at it now, yeah, but at the time, no, absolutely. I felt like, you know, like my life was never going to amount to anything, that I would never be able to, you know, achieve anything that was worthwhile.
Right, but in your process, you're moving
absolutely
forward, you're getting things together.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier about some substance use. Can you tell me about the current state of that? Is there any illicit substances in your life right now?
Yeah, so I have a medical marijuana card, and I see a doctor to have that renewed, and I think that increases my quality of life. It allows me to be It allows less problems for me. My anxiety's gone, my depression's gone totally. I don't have to rely on the medications that I once had to rely on before. Even something as simple as an ibuprofen, I don't have to take today. So
Right. So it's working out really
it's
well.
working out really well for me.
Okay. Is there any other substances you're using?
Well, I have a history of cocaine use and opioid use, and I was diagnosed with, you know, whatever they call that, opioid use disorder or whatever, and then I also had some issues with alcohol throughout my lifetime. But what's been going on lately, and one of the reasons why I came in here was so that I could address some of those issues. It seems as though my alcohol consumption's picked up a little bit, even though I haven't had too many problems with alcohol in a lot of years. It's picked up a little bit. So.
All right, but the opiates and the cocaine, they're
They're gone. They're
okay.
gone. Yeah.
So we work through those.
Yeah, and it's just not something that I desire to do anymore.
Right.
So.
But your alcohol is still present in your life.
Well, I mean, you know, I have a genetic history of it. My father died from cirrhosis. He was only about 4 years older than what I am now. So, you know, I'm concerned about that part of it. I'm also concerned because what happens is, you know, like it was just a couple of drinks, and it was over like, you know, short periods of time, long periods of time in between them. But now it started to pick up within the past month, where like I come home with like a 6-pack, and I just stay in the house until, you know, the alcohol is gone, and then, you know, pass out or whatever.
So when you bring this 6-pack home, how many out of that 6 are you intending to drink?
Well, I didn't intend to drink the whole 6-pack the first few times, but it became more of a routine. So,
right. So
you know, like it was Friday, Saturday night. I come home with a 6-pack each night, and then drink, and then, you know, now it's starting to pick up to the point where it's like, you know,
so,
2-3 days out of the week,
you know,
I make sure I have at least 2 6-packs in the refrigerator, and I know where this is going. I've been down this road before.
That's good. Well, that's good. You've been down this road, and you've been recognized.
And this is my time now to come here. So.
What kind of consequences do you think you're beginning to run into with some of this?
Some financial concerns, you know. I'm getting a little neglectful with self-care. I'm getting neglectful with my responsibilities at my employer. I'm getting more neglectful with some of the people that rely on me in my life that I've created my support systems with. And generally, when I look in the mirror, I don't feel like I'm looking at the same person that I know that I'm capable of being. So.
Right. That's good.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Can you see that possibly how this substance use could maybe take you back to another
Maybe
period
even
of
prison or
incarceration?
even death. I mean, which beer is it? This is what's been playing in my mind. Which beer is it going to be? You know, like how many licks to the center of the Tootsie? Which beer is it going to be that makes it okay for me to do cocaine again, or to do, you know, to intravenously shoot fentanyl or whatever? You know, like how many beers is it going to take for that to become okay again? And like, even though it's not okay again today, and I might be able to deal with some of the consequences of drinking, I know that I don't want to go back down that road. So.
Great. So it sounds like you have some motivations. We're going to. Let me ask you before. What's the longest time you ever went without using anything? Medication or illicit drugs?
Well, I had some periods of time incarcerated, but like being out in the real world and socializing with people, there's been like a stretch of where I wasn't on any medicines from a doctor or a psychiatrist or anything that I was taking from the street. That was about 9 months to a year, probably.
And what were you using to deal with your symptoms?
Oh, my support networks, of course. 12-step fellowships and the therapist that I was still seeing.
Okay, you could, you know, in what I'd really like us to do, John, is formulate like a treatment plan, individual to you. It has to be, because I think that's what's gonna work best. We're not a cookie cutter type operation here.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
That's
We're-
huge for them.
We're really trying to tailor an individual treatment plan,
Mm-hmm.
and we're in this together, John.
Mhm.
I really want you to believe that, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me. So what I'd really like you to see is that we can get back to that place where we don't have to use things that could lead us down a path where we might have to return to some bad situations, some incarcerations
Okay.
or financial hardship.
Yeah, that sounds good to me,
Or
Mr.
that-
Rob.
that
That's
loan.
exactly what I'm interested in. Not going back to jail, keeping, the family and friends I gained in my life, and keep it moving. So.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in, John. It's been a pleasure, and we're going to meet again next week. I
Okay.
want you to think about some things, because we're going to really start this process together.
Okay.
It's going to be you and I. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to talk to the camera from the
Okay.
Thanks.
Want me to get out of the way?
Please. Yeah, go get it. Non-alcoholic drink. Yeah, that's fine. Go have a cigarette. Hi, just to wrap up what I did here today. John and I, we started with a mental status exam. John was oriented to very well towards our time, our situation. He knew what today was. He knew what it was like outside when we were coming in. He knows where he is, what floor of the house we're on. His short-term memory was fine, rock, sign, and flower. And, he's just oriented very well. And in the, we went into the intake interview, John was really good at, stating what his reasons were for coming into treatment. He didn't seem nervous. He didn't seem, his affect was appropriate. I loved the hat, and his appearance, his demeanor, his mood was very good today, and I think it was a good launching point for what we're going to try to accomplish together, and I want to stress that point together. I didn't use any self-disclosure with John, but I'm very familiar. I've been through this process myself, and I really feel that I can really see that John is, if he does the work, like they say, it works if you work it. And I have really high hopes for John, and I'm looking forward to some good results. Thanks. And that's that, John.